able to get pressure on Mahomes without blitzing and just utter domination in the trenches, that's his kryptonite,
Hmm.
because he wasn't able to escape the pocket, make those runs, extend plays like we thought he was because the inside of the pocket was just crumbling on him. Every time he tried to step up, there's a guy right there. All right. Welcome back to Borderline Sports Podcast, episode 10. We have our Super Bowl recap episode for you here, where we're going to have a special guest appearance again. And then also going to be talking a little bit about NBA trade deadlines, some other NFL headlines after the Super Bowl, and just really recapping the season for you guys a little bit here, show some of our favorite plays from this season. Um, but yeah, excited to bring it all to you and ready to talk some ball again.
Let's kick it off, dude.
How do we feel? How do we feel after that Super Bowl?
Yeah, it was a dud, absolute dud, stinker. Um, like the Chiefs just never did anything really till the second half. It was 24-0 half. I don't know, something on Super Bowl Sunday. I wasn't really excited for this game like I had been, in years past. And I don't know if it was like something my body just foreshadowing what was going to happen, but like leading up to the game, it was kind of just I'm gonna watch it, but it didn't have the same hype for me. And I don't know. I just don't know what happened. But um yeah,
Yeah.
it's over. Maybe it's that, maybe it's like I'm just kind of sad that it's done now. And I didn't have a dog in the fight, and so maybe that's what it was, but it just didn't get me going.
Yeah. Wasn't the ending either of us wanted, but with neither of our teams involved, just an absolute blowout of a game. I think it was been a long season though. We've enjoyed covering it for you guys. All right, so starting off with our headlines that we had, obviously top headline, Eagles win Super Bowl 59. Absolutely rout the Chiefs in that game. Wasn't a close game, wasn't what the fans I think were expecting there, but the Chiefs fall flat on their freaking face. Absolutely get demolished, and no three-peat for them. I think a lot of NFL fans in general are happy about the outcome. Maybe not the way the game played out, but just happy that the Chiefs are now no longer reigning Super Bowl champions. So, we're gonna get into a full recap of that game later. But what question I do want to ask right now, just based, kind of going off that headline is, do you think Mahomes' legacy is tainted with those two Super Bowl blowout losses? I mean, his all-time Super Bowl plus minus is now at a minus 15, I believe. And in the two games they've lost, they've just been absolutely dominated. So do you think that affects his legacy at all? A lot of people were saying he was going to be the GOAT over Tom Brady, and that's going to be a tough hill to climb now.
Yeah, I don't think really at any point yet people were saying he's better than Tom Brady in terms of winning a Super Bowl. I mean, he's still young. He's still got what, 12 years probably till he's 40. It sucks that he has got blown out twice. I mean, once was to Brady. Um, I don't think in my opinion, I don't think he's touching Brady. And I don't think even he had won this game. The Chiefs, like, going forward, don't look super great on paper. They got aging Kelsey, um, not a ton of talent around him besides Worthy. And Chris Jones getting older. They're just kind of they got by because of him, just kind of doing just the bare minimum, and it caught up to them. They had how many one-score games this year, just scraping by. And I guess I didn't foresee it coming in the Super Bowl, but at some point that luck has to run out. So I think one, their luck this year just ran out at the wrong time, and two, going forward, they're kind of not in a great spot. Mahomes is coming back, of course, but like I said, what are you doing with Kelsey? Do you think they're going to move on? I think in terms of cap and value, you almost have to. But I guess that's kind of where they got to look inward now and make a decision for the future.
You think Kelsey's going to retire after this?
I think so, dude. I mean, he's got to retire, take a huge pay cut. He's just not bringing that value um, that they need to be able to sign some other skill players and kind of fill that roster out because it was you know loaded on Kelsey the last 3 4 years. And they're getting by with one receiver in Kelsey for the most part. And it's just not going to be able to, you can't keep continuing to do that.
Right, right. Yeah, I'll be curious to see, at least they don't have the all the juju on their side going into next season where they're just winning all these close games and, there's like they can't lose that sort of feeling. I am curious, they have those three receivers, and Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, and now Hollywood Brown, who are all kind of like the same type of speedy slot receiver, I would say. But what do any expectations for next season? Like, do you think are you predicting AFC Championship again, or do you kind of we just got to wait and see? I mean, it is the Chiefs, but they definitely are going to lose some of those older players for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Like their top five players are taking up, what does this come on to? 36, 45, almost 60% of their cap on five players: Kelsey, Creed Humphrey, Jawan Taylor, Chris Jones, Pat. So, like, in terms of being able to go out and sign some people to help, I mean, their offensive line was totally exposed. Um, their running game is not very good. Checo, in my opinion, is like a C- running back, and Kareem Hunt he's doable for, the banger, the bruiser, but you don't want him getting the ball 20 times a game. So, um, look at like the Eagles bringing in a Saquon, Ravens bringing in Derrick Henry, Packers, Josh Jacobs. Like when you're that level and you add the running back, you can really transform your team, take a lot of pressure off Pat, and allow, those speedsters to get open downfield. Because that just didn't happen at all in the Super Bowl. He had no time to throw. These guys are running, eloquent routes way downfield. Um, and, a couple of times it worked, that played him worthy. It was just a, run down there, dude. I'm gonna bomb it. And I'd love to see that, out of the Chiefs going forward. Like that should be, pound the ball and throw it deep because you got speed and you got just a absolute specimen at quarterback. So I guess that's really my opinion on them. Like they're not dead, but they're just gonna have to, look inward and, ask themselves, is Kelsey really um worth $17 million next year? Or can we get away with Noah Gray and, like you said, Rashee Rice, forgot about that guy, but if he comes back and he's 90%, he's better than what you got right now for sure. So, yeah, that's where I'm standing with them. I think they're AFC Championship bound again next year, though.
Yeah, hard to say anything against that. I think, they had some players that, they were kind of just filling holes for this season, but in the long term, not complete studs that they're gonna re-sign or necessarily need. I think they need some more star power, like you mentioned. Everyone running backs are a huge commodity right now in the NFL. It's just been proven this year. Teams with really good running backs have had amazing seasons. And I'm just, are they going to need to go get someone else? Because yeah, Kareem Hunt, Samaje Perine, and Isaiah Pacheco aren't really aren't really blowing us away here. So
Yeah, and
um,
and all to add, like their defense, like they gave up 40 points, but realistically, how much of that was on the turnovers, short
yeah,
field? I mean, pick six, kind of garbage time at the end. I mean, like I said before this game that I didn't think Saquon was going to be, running for 130, 150 yards because their linebackers are that good. Their front four is that good. They showed up. It was kind of just, Jalen Hurts' scrambling really killed them. Um, and, a couple of those plays, a couple go routes, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, that was really the only separation there. And obviously
Mm.
their offense couldn't do anything, So I
Yeah,
thought on the defensive side of the ball, I thought they looked fine. They don't really have any gaping holes. I mean, maybe another corner safety, but I think they're gonna go into this draft this offseason. Um, try to get I'm almost convinced they're gonna get rid of Kelsey and try to get a running back and some offensive line help. And I think they'll be, right back to being talented, top team in the AFC.
for sure, for sure. As long as you got Mahomes back there slinging it, definitely not wanting to count against them.
And
But
that's where the wide receivers are fine. I mean, look what Aaron Rodgers did his whole career, brought James Jones, Jordy Nelson, made them look like superstars. And I think Worthy's good. He's talented. He's fast. Hollywood Brown's, he'll look like one of those superstars. And Rashee Rice saw what he did last year with them. You know, these guys don't have to be like Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase good. They just need to have time to run their routes and they'll look like superstars.
for sure, for sure. Well, let's move on here to some of our other headlines. Like I mentioned, we will be having a special guest join us where we'll go dive in a little bit deeper into the Super Bowl and give the Eagles their flowers as well. But one of the bigger ones we had that just dropped just now is um, actually Kadarius Toney being arrested for allegedly strangling a woman last week. I shouldn't say this is a bigger headline. This is one of the fresher headlines. But even in a Chiefs Super Bowl where he's not on the team, he still finds his way onto the to make a name for himself. So that's kind of crazy. But I know you're a big Kadarius Toney stan, right?
Dude, this guy, I hate him with a passion. Um, Absolutely disrespected my coin earlier this year. On top of that, he's just been a horrible individual. Pretty much cried his way out of the Giants who drafted him. Got super lucky to get taken by the Chiefs, got a Super Bowl there with them. But since then, he's basically been just one of those guys. I'm trying to think of someone else. I mean, Deontay Johnson kind of this year, where he comes to your team and you're like, dude, what are we doing? Is this serious? Um, so yeah, I mean, it's not even funny that he beat this woman. It's just funny. It's just he's just a horrible human, basically, and nothing really surprises you when it comes out about him. So
Yeah, he's an absolute head case for sure. I believe he had something else. Was it last year or 2 years ago that was also in the headlines? As far as it might be another domestic violence issue. Don't quote me on that, but I think this is not something out of his nature, but really rugged either way.
yeah, it kind of reminds me of a certain Eagles player that got in a hit and run car crash and was playing the Super Bowl, or someone died. I don't know who that
We're
is,
not going to
but
name any names
yeah,
here, but
I think someone was playing after they
looks
killed someone.
at least he cleaned up his act. But yeah, not
And there's
really sure.
something about Rashee Rice that's similar,
You got
I
a D
can't quite
Dub.
put my finger on it. I think he might have been racing a car and hit someone and sped off. So these, you know, character issues.
There are some character issues out there. Moving on though, to a trade that we just missed last week. The Heat trading Jimmy Butler for Andrew Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, and a 2025 protected first round pick. And then from Golden State, and then Davion Mitchell from Toronto in exchange for Jimmy. Josh Richardson, two second round draft picks and cash considerations in a five-team deal. Kind of a complex deal here, but the meat and potatoes of it is Jimmy to the Golden State, and then Andrew Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, and a protected first rounder for this year to the Heat. So, what are your thoughts on this trade?
We talked about this last week, and that's exactly where I thought Jimmy was getting traded, where he'd go. And Andrew Wiggins being part of the deal. This just kind of made sense for both teams that the Warriors were the most desperate trade deadline team of all time, like fiending for a player just to come to their team. Um, and really the only asset they had was Wiggins. So just kind of made sense there. I think the Heat are just happy to get him, off the books, get something back. Um, they did get Davion Mitchell, who I think is a pretty solid player. I've, watched him a little bit on the Raptors. I think he's solid. He kind of just goes out and didn't get a lot of chances, but I mean, remember back to him at Baylor as being a solid player. So I think the Heat got the better end of the stick here. I haven't really watched Jimmy on the Warriors. I know they played the Bucks the other night, but Bucks have been missing their whole team, so I'm not even bothering right now with that. But I guess I don't know. It gives Curry another option, someone that they have to at least attempt to guard.
Right.
Whereas currently it's like, yeah, let's just not let Steph Curry shoot threes and we'll win against the Warriors. So I
Right,
don't know.
right. Yeah, I mean the Golden State's 2-0 in the last two games since the trade, but I don't think they've played anyone really great. I think they've had a couple almost blowout-esque loss or wins. So, I do think it makes them instantly better. And obviously Jimmy was just rotting and well, not even rotting. He was just forcing his way off of the Heat. And so, he wasn't bringing anything to the table. So this
Yeah.
was a good move for the Heat,
Yeah.
I
Agreed.
think overall.
And like just to get something back for a player, like, you know what I mean, at that point. And like we said, the Warriors were calling the G League even like to find a player, so um whatever. Makes sense for both teams, I guess. Have you watched Luca at all on the Lakers and his debut? I guess that was
I
Monday night.
did. I did. I watched some of the Monday night game. Who did they play? They played
The Jazz.
the Jazz, that's right. So obviously the Jazz, terrible franchise or terrible team right now. They're really just stacking up young players and picks and looking towards the future. But yeah, Luka looked good. I think their plan is, to stagger him and LeBron in the minutes that they play, considering they're both such ball heavy handlers in the game, and then kind of start the game off with both of them for 6 minutes, and then stagger them. Maybe end the second quarter with them both on the court, and then start them both on the court, but essentially stagger their minutes throughout. So, yeah, Luka looked pretty good. Saw him hit his signature little step back three for his first shot that he made. And yeah, he's just an elite playmaker. So,
Yeah, and I think that's
Lakers could be more dangerous than we think early, but I'm not sure
no, I
yet.
think I think the last thing you said is the key, and that Luca is an elite playmaker. He had a horrible shooting night for his standards, but when he's on the court with LeBron, his ability to, involve him, um, and just it's a completely different team where Luca can completely dictate the offense, dish to LeBron, who is still able to get to the rim basically at will at 40 years old. Um, whereas AD is it's just so much more dynamic. And now kind of the emergence of Reeves as like a shooter, and just an overall, solid starting player is really like I think this Lakers team is probably I think them and the Celtics at this point are the two best teams in the NBA. And if Luka's healthy, I think it's this is setting up to be like one of those classic Lakers Celtics finals that NBA heads of the 80s are just like creaming about. So um I, like I said, like he didn't shoot the lights out. He doesn't have to. He just their offense is gonna be so hard to stop though. And yeah, I'm really excited to watch them go forward. They got the Jazz again tonight, so um hard to learn from that, but it's nice for Luca to kind of ease back into playing against whoever is on the Jazz.
Safe to say you are buying what the Lakers are selling right now.
Yeah,
You
I am. And
you're buying, you're all in.
I mean I picked the Mavs to go back to the finals again before this year just because of Luca and like just joining that he could take an average team and by himself make the Western Conference Finals. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So put him on the Lakers. Um, cool for him to get his first game at home. Just kind of get introduced in that LA crowd. I saw quite a few Luka 77s already, so safe to say they're happy with their guy. And also on the other side, AD's out for an extended period of time. So look at that.
Nico Harrison just I heard he's been getting death threats. I'm sure obviously that's what you'd expect when you trade your franchise player. Um, and he's 25 years old, so and he just made a finals appearance, but yeah, it's already looking like piss for the Mavs, They've lost now a few games in a row. AD's out, Gafford's now out. I think they might be missing someone else too. So not a hot start for them in this trade that they really just bet everything on. So, we'll see what Luka's availability, what his health looks like. What do you think he looks like in the Yellow Jays though? I've heard talks that he looks a little pale.
Yeah, I mean, this dude, I mean, he's from where? Slovenia, Slovakia, something with the S, Serbia. Um,
Slovenia.
I mean, dude, they don't get sun up there. He's just his natural color. I mean, this dude, I want my basketball players being white. That means they're not outside in the sun. They're in the gym. So, if you got a tan, dude, you're doing something wrong. Get in the gym.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, I can side with that, me being from or my heritage being from Germany myself. I'm not the most tan dude, specifically not in the winter. I'm pasty white, but
Yeah, you don't go outside in the summer either, though. So
well, no, I was pretty damn tan last summer, but
let's
that's
find you.
besides the point here. Let's get back to sports. Come on, quit calling me out.
We'll find you some outdoor sports you can play. How about that?
Um, yeah. So some other things to touch on here. We got the All-Star weekend upcoming. Definitely a different format this year. I believe it's a four-team tournament. The winning team of the Rising Stars Challenge, or yeah, the Rising Stars game plays against these teams. So that would be interesting to me. I know that Wemby is both an All-Star and a Rising Star, so I'm kind of confused about which team he'll be on. I'm not sure how that's all going to work out, but new format this year. Not anything too exciting, but anything you're looking forward to as far as All-Star Weekend.
This is basically like I don't know. I saw it. It's basically all like it's like international, and then it's. Did you see like the lineup? Like, what is going on with it? It's like international, and then it's like, hold on. I saw a graphic of it, but like how they drafted was so weird.
Oh, yeah, no, Shaq drafted first.
Do you have it?
Kenny, oh my God, yeah, interesting. Karl Anthony Towns is a global star. I guess he is from the Dominican, but
Yeah. So I don't. It's
yeah,
just really weird how they drafted. I don't know. I'm
it's
not.
basically the vets. Shaq's OGs, LeBron, AD,
Yeah,
KD,
that's
James
what.
Harden, Kyrie, Steph Curry, Jason Tatum, Dame, Jaylen Brown. Shaq's the GM there, and then we got Kenny's young stars. We got Anthony Edwards, Jaren Jackson Jr., Darius Garland, Cade Cunningham, Tyler Hero, Evan Mobley, Jalen Williams, Jalen Brunson. That team does not seem as stacked as some of these other squads.
That
Holy
doesn't
crap.
even seem. That seems like a regular NBA team you could put together.
Yeah. So, I mean,
And
curious to see how
and
this
like
all plays out.
yeah, basically where I was going. I saw the graphic. I saw a tweet like the NBA had to have told them to draft like this because it just was so weird. Like how bad Team Kenny is versus all the other two. So
1,000%. Yeah. And then Chuck's team is going to be Nicole Jokic, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Siakam, Cat, Trey Young, Giannis, Victor Wembanyama, um, Sengun. and then Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, and like
But
outside of Cat and Mitchell, it's like it's like the foreign team basically. So
it's kind of interesting because, the All-Stars are going to get a lot more playing time. Sometimes the reserves don't get as much playing time. So, um, be interested to see how it plays out. But, honestly, probably the global team is
I think I'm taking the OGs,
the OGs
NBA OGs.
I mean, yeah, they're tough to bet
Well, yeah,
against. I'd say it's
Giannis
pretty
isn't playing either, so I think
okay. Yeah, that definitely adds. Doesn't look like oh yeah, it doesn't look like Luca. I didn't even realize, but he's not in the All-Star game. Probably missed too many games, huh?
he might, I don't know, they might replace him with Giannis. Who knows? We'll see. But
He's been out since Christmas, so
on the other side, I feel like LeBron's team wins every year because he like is try hard in it. So
yeah,
I think a
right.
combo of like him and Steph and James Harden, like guys that like will just be out there chucking the ball. Whereas I don't know, the foreign team looks kind of big, dominant. So
I'm expecting a James Harden masterclass in this game of 3 for 20
yeah, all
from
right.
three,
Don't
essentially.
don't disrespect my goat.
Yeah, no. Yeah, now looking at those lineups, it does look interesting though. I'll be tuning in for sure. Probably not watch every game, but something to watch now that NFL season has come to an end. So kind of pumped for that.
Yeah, that's it. Just something to blow a Sunday on.
Yeah, and then a couple of their headlines that we can just quick talk about. KD um hit 30,000 career points. I think either last night or the night before, becomes the eighth player in NBA to do so. Hats off to KD. He's a legend. Absolute Slim Reaper. Um, but the Suns are really in a bad spot, I think, right now. They just continue to lose games, man. And they are so far over the luxury tax.
Yeah,
So kind of curious.
they're in a tough spot, but if they can make the playoffs, I just wouldn't want to play them if I'm at one of those young teams, Rockets, Thunder, KD going back to OKC, um, I wouldn't want to see him.
We swept them last year, but that was their first year
You guys
or the
had
first year with Bradley Beal actually playing. So
you guys had Cat though, not
true.
Julius Randle.
Yeah. Moving on. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Congrats to
but I
Katie.
mean,
Congrats to Katie though, but
I guess outside of that, I mean, you got MLB spring training here, getting excited. I don't know, spring training's kind of dog to me. Just a month of taxi squads and not seeing much, but at least it gets us closer to summer. And then the final thing that I had seen, I don't know if you have anything to add after, but um, like right before the Super Bowl, like Saturday, I think it broke that Kellen Moore was he was out hired head coach of the Saints. So I kind of thought it'd be a little bit more of a distraction, but at the same time, I guess a day before you've already had 2 weeks to prepare. Like, what's the big deal? But I think it's so dumb. Maybe I'm wrong that they're going to announce it that Saturday instead of waiting until Monday. Like it's almost like they wanted to cause some
I
drama
can't
there.
remember if the official like Adam Schefter tweet, the official news broke on Monday or if it was just whispers, but I already knew Kellen was the coach. Was it official already on Saturday?
I don't know.
Or
I
was
think
it
that's
just like
the,
was there so much chatter about it that it's like we know this is happening?
I don't know. You texted me about it. I hadn't seen anything about it, and then like the team officially announced it yesterday, but
Right.
like I mean everyone knew before,
Right.
so I can't
It
remember
was
when you
obvious.
texted me about it if it was Friday or Saturday, but
Right. Yeah. No. It didn't affect the Eagles in this Super Bowl. However, if it really had and their offense just didn't show up, I would could see some fans being pretty furious about this. But, you know, the Eagles just absolutely dominated that game from all aspects. So, I don't think I don't think fans were too upset. I did see Sirianni say, "Let's run it back, Kellen," after they won in his speech. But yeah, he'll be gone. So curious to see who they have come in and fill that role. But however, I do agree with you that it is just total bogus that all of this is going down wild. All right, so we are going to show you guys two of our favorite moments from the season here. Just a couple plays that we just stood out to us and really enjoyed.
So this is mine. Um, this is obviously the Hail Mary from Jaden Daniels. And for a couple reasons, this play was sick. One, because there was a Bears loss. Um, One, because of the Bears loss. Two, because of the Tyreek Stevenson thing and him just going like full blown like idiot on the side, like pumping everyone up, and just how like perfect that tip was, to him. I mean, I got plenty of plays that I probably enjoyed more as a Packer fan, some Josh Jacobs running stuff, but in terms of just, I had bet on Washington this game too, so that was quite a way to win that bet. And then, just for Jaden Daniels to kind of showcase, obviously Hail Marys involve a ton of luck and stuff, but um, what having Rodgers do it all these years, it kind of looked like it was like a 50-50 thing for some quarterbacks when you got it. So just cool for him, converting his first one. Um, yeah, I guess. Do you have any thoughts on this play?
Yeah, for sure. This really just was the turning point, I think, in the season for the Washington Commanders. They already had the 5-2 record, but this kind of catapulted them in the season. Just a major win, beating the number one quarterback that was drafted right before him in Caleb Williams. And I kind of feel like this is where things started to flip for the Commanders and really they started to show that they were you know, real playoff contenders. Maybe not Super Bowl contenders, but they this was really a big play for their season. I also forgot how much Jaden Daniels was able to kill some time there by like rolling to his right and then just coming right back and slinging it. I know the ball didn't even actually make it to the it probably would have landed right inside the end zone, maybe at the 1 yard line. But
What's he
yeah, this was
throw
crazy.
this almost 70 yards, 65. But yeah, what you said about Washington kind of propelled their season here. This was literally the death of the Bears in real time. They
That
went on
too.
that massive losing streak. Um, yeah, so it was like a showcase for Washington, an absolute just like last ditch effort for the Bears season. Um, you got your play you want to show pulled up here, typical Homer pick, but play it regardless.
Yeah, for sure. This was just Vikings just getting their season started. We had just beat the Giants, playing then, the ex Super Bowl or the team that was in the Super Bowl last year in the 49ers and just in an incredible thrill. This is when Sam Darnold really started to break out, and we thought, wow, do we actually have a guy here? Because he's got a beautiful deep ball. But yeah, just a 98-yard touchdown to Justin Jefferson. This is just one of my favorite plays from the season. Not that often are you able to watch your favorite player go for, 98 yards and a touchdown in one swoop, but this one was pretty hype. I think this is when the Vikings kind of started to rattle off some wins on the way to their 5-0 start.
Yeah, and also this game kind of did two things for me. One, it showed that the Niners weren't the Niners of years past, which was like physical, dominate everybody basically. That type of, team that they had been. And also like, yeah, you said Darnold actually had a like this wasn't just like some like bona fide scrub. He actually kind of belonged until
Mhm.
week 16 or whatever it was. But yeah, again, this was, you know, I remember watching this or not this play, but this game and being like, wow, the Niners aren't the Niners are one of two things. They're either just like having a horrible game or they're not good, or the Vikings are better than advertised preseason. So, it was kind of like, hmm, let's pause a second and kind of, because week two, you never know, but Niners really never caught their stride. Um, and I'm glad to see that as a Packer fan. Just,
For sure. Early death for the Niners, that's for sure.
yeah. But I mean, a couple honorable mentions. I think, did you watch the Derrick Henry like 90-yarder against the Bills start the game? That was one I was thinking about. And then just not really plays, but performances, kind of like Josh Jacobs' game against the Niners. Was that one, three tutties, just looked like a beast. Um, I don't
Niners
know,
just getting cooked by our favorite players.
pretty much, dude. So, but all in all, I mean, great NFL season. It always is like, you know, super excited for it to start, and then it gets to week like 8 through 10, 12, and it's like a drag. Things start to heat up with playoff races again, 12 through end of the year. And then, it's over before you even realize it. And yeah,
Yeah. No, that's a wrap. That's a wrap on our season. I can't say I was as engaged after the Vikings just bowed out in the wild card round, but
one
was
thing
was
I
still
want,
an awesome season.
Packers D played the Eagles the best in the playoffs. I'll say that. I'm hopeful. Like they actually, offense didn't do anything. Defense played well, and that's never been the Packers' MO. So at least got a little bit of excitement there, kind of watching what they did to the Chiefs D, Commanders D. So,
For,
and I guess
for
the
sure.
other thing I was thinking about was, dude, Jamar Chase won the Triple Crown, didn't win. It like went so under the rug. Like Cooper Kupp was like unanimous player of the year when he did. Um, so I don't know, just good for Jamar.
Right. Yeah, Jamar, I mean, I still think 1A, 1B with JJ, but it doesn't help having Joe Burrow back there slinging it to him. And he had, an incredible season.
Yeah.
Amazing for me in fantasy football as well. You know, damn near
Um,
carried my team to a championship, but he's a dog, and I just feel like that probably got pushed under the rug a little bit just because of they were unable to make the playoffs this year. So
yeah, and I mean last thing we can talk about here for the season is wrapping up. We got just the NFL honors and stuff. Allen MVP called that. Just I think it was a little bit of voter fatigue with Lamar, winning them all. And I really don't think he should have won last year. Um, and now you got all the Lamar stands coming out being, oh, I thought it wasn't a stat thing. But last year Josh had better stats. So it's like, dude, just come on. Like, you can't just give Lamar the trophy every year. He didn't earn it this year or last
Lamar
year.
had Lamar had way more help than Josh. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you got Kevin O'Connell with the Vikings winning Coach of the Year. I think that was pretty well deserved. A lot of good cases to be made around the league, but
For
um,
sure.
at the end of the day, I don't think anyone's gonna be mad about that one. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Jared Verse. I think he kind of won it like probably the last 6, 7 weeks of the season. He was kind of nobody first
Right.
couple, and then burst on the scene. Of course, he had that insane game against the Vikings in the playoffs. Played really well the next week against the Eagles, but um, I saw a lot of talk of Eagles fans being quite upset that Quinion or DeJean didn't win, but at the end of the day, I don't think they had any regular season picks, if I'm mistaken. Like they played really well, but they didn't really have, the kind of proof of work like Verse did with his sacks and stuff. I was kind of
Right.
upset Edgerrin Cooper didn't even get nominated. Um, he was arguably top three linebacker straight up, let alone among rookies. So I was kind of upset with that, but moving on. Um, Joe Burrow comeback player of the year. Forgot he didn't even play last year, so
Yeah.
he picked up right where he left off. Don't know who else. I saw Darnold they were making a case for, but he wasn't like out or anything. He just sucked. So It's like what I don't know. I don't have an opinion on that one. Offensive player,
Yeah, I
say,
think
oh yeah,
I
go
think
ahead.
if Darnold had finished the season, you know, I know that the regular season is what the honors are about, right? But I just think the way that it ended for the Vikings, that lost Darnold, any thought in that. I did forget that Joe Burrow didn't even play last year. So, and he easily had, I'd say, stats wise, other than, Allen and Lamar, he had one of the best QB seasons um, as far as touchdowns go.
Yeah. So back just real quick on this defensive rookie of the year thing. Reason I'm upset is because we had Chop Robinson from the Dolphins as a linebacker make this list, who was basically a non-factor every game, as well as Braden Fisk on the Rams. Like, get out of here. Edgerrin Cooper's better than both those two. Other candidates for comeback player, I guess, were DeMar for like the third straight year. J.K. Dobbins was, good, but I mean, Joe Burrow was borderline MVP. So how are you going to come
Right.
back? And so um, that will wrap that one up. Offensive player, Saquon, obviously no brainer, 2,000 yards. Who else are you going to give it to? The only one, in my opinion, that had a case was obviously Jamar, just with the triple crown. So think think that one went to the right player. Defensive player. This one was a little, I don't know, a little more iffy for me. Pat Surtain won. But I don't know. You got TJ Watt, Garrett. Case to be made for Zach Bond, really came out of nowhere, revived his career in Philadelphia. But I just thought, I don't know, TJ Watt to me wins that over Pat Surtain, but you got to give it to the corner some year, can't go out there and just make it a D end award.
Yeah, Watt kind of fell off the last 6 weeks of the season too, as far as his stats go. But yeah, that was an interesting one seeing Sertan win there.
Yeah, and he's a great player, best cornerback in the league, but it's like it's so hard for a corner to be more impactful than a D end, Like you don't want to even know who's playing corner most of the time because that means they're getting the ball thrown at them, stuff like that. So just the best corners, fly under the radar for the most part. Rookie of the year, obviously Jaden Daniels. If we're getting really, into the weeds here, I think Brock Bowers had a better year straight up during the regular season. But when you are the quarterback, take a team to the NFC Championship or just even the playoffs, because we're not calling that, but hard not to give it to him. But it sucks to be Brock Bowers because he wins that every year, probably throughout NFL history.
Agreed.
So that is that. And I mean, the only other thing that really happened in the NFL, um, don't really have to go too deep into this, but just because the Vikings and Packers are both mentioned, um, just the Hall of Fame class of 2025. So Eric Allen, Jared Allen, Antonio Gates, and Sterling Sharp. Obviously, Jared Allen from the Vikings, had a great career. I'll always remember that 69 just being a freak. And then Sterling Sharp from the Packers, just a dog. Led the league in receptions 3 times with the Packers. So he big part of that Super Bowl winning team in '96. So love that guy.
For sure, for sure. Yeah. Shout out those guys. Jared Allen,
And I
Hall of
remember
Famer.
Antonio Gates too. I remember watching him. I remember like with him and LT on the Chargers, just wearing their like powder blues, dude. That was like can't miss football back in the day.
Hmm.
And every time he'd catch a pass, they'd be like, he played basketball. You know?
There was a big thing back in the day. I mean, or even Kyle Rudolph played college basketball, I want to say, as well, or just played basketball. There was a big search. Jimmy Graham as well.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
all played basketball.
And it was, dude,
And
there's
they
every
they
time they'd
kept
catch a
bringing it
ball.
up.
Yeah, he played basketball. Like, no, I didn't know the 6'7" dude played basketball. Like,
Hmm.
but yeah,
One last thing I would like to bring up. Um, Aaron Rodgers. not returning to the Jets.
Yeah.
That's
Is he a Viking?
I don't want it. I don't want it at all. No, I think we know what our future holds. If anything, they would get him as a bridge quarterback. But the Vikings do have this history of bringing in the oldest guys, the oldest quarterbacks, and just turning them into or having a Hall of Fame season in like 1 year. You know, Brett Favre, Randall Cunningham having their best career seasons in like their final year after basically being dumped by the NFL. So I don't expect to see that. I don't know. Rodgers just too much of a head case. There's just yeah, I mean, he's just too old to me, man. But you know, never gonna rule it out. You never know. He could be in the purple and gold next season.
Yeah, I mean, what I feel like he might even just be a giant, dude. He's already in New York, just goes over there. They're terrible, so it's like they got Malik Neighbors, I don't know what he's gonna do. Ideally, they bring him to the Packers as a QB coach because they just lost their QB coach, and that'd be sick. I'd love that. But I don't know. I think the Jets are dumb for not bringing him back. I don't know if it's them. I don't know if it's him, but I mean, you give them their best chance to win now. They're not like super far out of being competitive. Like they had so much go on with their GM, head coach. Like everything on that team was dysfunctional last year. I think if they, had another year with them and their talented lineup, like they were favored to win the AFC East last year, by the way. So, like they were supposed to be better than the Bills. So where it went wrong, I don't think it's Aaron Rodgers. Nobody in their locker room ever talks down about him. They basically say he's the best teammate, best player, ever to be around. So I don't know what it is, but I think that organization's so dysfunctional, it's insane.
For sure. Yeah, curious to see, you know, what are the Jets' plans? Are they going to bring back Sam Darney to the Jets? You know, they got a lot of weapons. Sounds like, you know, the Rodgers, I'd be curious, you know, as well with Devontae, like what's Devontae's plan now, you know?
Packer,
Um,
Packer.
oh yeah. Packers are always
I'd be,
always claiming
I don't
such
like,
false
I,
rumor trades that they think are gonna happen.
I think they either get him or T. Higgins. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I think one of those two goes to the
I think
Packers.
T Higgins to the Patriots, man.
Maybe then Devontae to the Packers. I just know they're gonna get one of those two. If I had to guess,
Yeah, curious to see what happens there. Maybe a
they
Kirk Cousins to the Jets, New York Jets.
they got worse, dude. They'd be better off with Darnold.
Maybe. Yeah,
I'm taking Darnold over Kirk, bro, for sure. I don't care if he can't
hard to
win. I
say.
don't care if he can't win the playoffs. At least we'll look competent until something matters.
Fair enough.
Kirk, dude, imagine him in New York, bro. He's like a theater guy. Do you know that?
Oh, Kirk.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
I get.
pretty woman
I
walking down the
I
street.
would.
Have you seen that video?
No, dude.
The show choir video?
I no. That's yeah. I haven't seen the
Oh
video. I
man,
just heard about it, and so
I'm
maybe
gonna have to send you a link.
he's actually like a perfect fit then for New York. You could go visit his little Broadway plays and quarterback on Sundays.
All right, we now bring back on our special guest from last week, Super Bowl champion, Anthony. How are we feeling? What are the initial thoughts? You are a champion once again. Oh, here we
He's
go.
he's fucking him. That's what I think. Honestly, I think initial thoughts. I thought, I felt like I was watching the Pee Wee football team versus the mascots as the Vikings do on occasion on halftime. It felt like they were just head and shoulders above the Chiefs during the whole game from basically the start of the game. Honestly, uh, you know, some I guess key takeaways that I got from it honestly was the fact that Uh, Mahomes had, I think it was like 42 dropbacks. Defense had 6 sacks. and zero blitz. You could just tell that the D line was just wreaking havoc on the Chiefs O line. It was honestly great to see because a lot of the times there's a lot of doubt with the Eagles. They doubted that they could even get there in the first place, let alone beat them by that much, honestly. So it was great to see.
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, belt to ass, like you said last week, it was an
Yeah.
absolute molly wop nation. So, final score 40, Eagles 40, Chiefs 22. I think Mahomes had what, 24 passing yards in that first half, just
Yeah.
couldn't get anything going. He's turning the ball over, not looking like himself. Just really, I don't know if it was a total crumble in the moment, under the pressure of the opportunity to be the first team to three-peat. I know the Packers did it way back in the day before merger, but
Twice.
um, twice. But yeah, I mean, it was not even a fun, it wasn't that fun of a game to watch, I thought,
No.
because it was just so one-sided. I mean, you could just tell the Chiefs had better players at every position. Everyone showed up, they didn't look nervous at all. Jalen Hurts basically played the game of his life, honestly. Um, outside of one pick, he didn't do anything to hurt them in this game, and had some big plays. Definitely outplayed Patrick Mahomes. But yeah, let's hear the Jalen Hurts talk. Let's let the viewers have it. What do you have to say about Jalen Hurts? What does he rank right now? You know, what do you have for the haters?
I'm not going to put him at number one. Um, I'll be honest. You can't take that spot away from Mahomes. He's a beast. He's clutch. He's carried his team with good receivers and without. He's brought him to the Super Bowl with a lackluster wide receiver group. I mean, you have what DeAndre Hopkins, Juju, um, who else? I know Worthy, but just kind of OG wide receivers that you'd expect them to carry the team, and they did nothing. Xavier Worthy literally had to put the team on his back, and it was all with garbage yards at the end. Like realistically, it should have been if they would have kept their starters in the Eagles, it probably would have been 40, 48, 46, 46 to 6. Um, Basically just kind of gassed up his 150 yards and brought his QBR from 1.1 at the half until 9 to 94. So the fact that you have to have a rookie receiver carry your whole wide receiver core with those other big names is truly embarrassing for the wide receiver core. Um, I'd say in terms of Jalen Hurts, I think he played great. I think he played exactly how he needed to play. They wanted to stop the run, which they were really good at. I'll give it to their run defense. I think Nick Bolton played lights out. I think he's a huge asset to their defense. He's actually a free agent, so they're going to have to pay him big because he clearly was the man that was controlling a lot of that whole run defense stop. He was flying to the ball, but they doubted his passing game like they've done every single game. Every single game, they always, coach to stop the run, stop Saquon. But I think they tend to forget that Jalen Hurts can throw. He just doesn't need to. He's not going to be putting up 350, 400 yards in a game because he just doesn't need to. That's not his play style, and everyone knows that. But he can throw a deep ball. I mean, I think he proved it with the Devontae 46-yard bomb. I mean, he threw one to AJ, which is kind of a shit call in terms of saying it was a PI on AJ. I think it was for the Super Bowl. I think it was a very light call, especially when you don't really see that throughout the season called. I think it was pretty light. They made up for it with another bullshit call that they called on McDuffie for the PI, kind of made up for it. But after that, I mean, he played exactly how he needed to. He had the most rushing yards for a QB in history in the Super Bowl. They doubt his arm. They gave him too much space. He's a scrambling QB. A lot of times people will say scrambling QBs can't win Super Bowls. They said it with Russell, but I think Jalen proved it that you can. I think he played lights out. He played exactly what he needed to, and I think he put the haters to rest in terms of his ranking. I'd put him because he's won a Super Bowl, honestly, I'm putting him in top three for now until proven otherwise. He doesn't need to put up a ton of yards to win the game. The whole point of being a quarterback is winning games, which he does. Whether you like it or not in regards to his passing yards, uh, you know, wins matter more than stats at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah, just complete team victory for the Eagles, utter domination, and it didn't come down to Saquon having to put up 200 yards.
Yeah.
I think we kind of knew coming into that. Well, we didn't know, but we talked about it a little bit. Steve Spagnuolo's defense, not allowing a postseason 100-yard rusher, but didn't matter. They just made too many mistakes on offense, the Chiefs did, and Mahomes just really wasn't able to get anything going until garbage time. So, hats off to you, man.
Yeah. I mean, they would have kept him under 100 yards if they had our defense out. I mean, the fact that we had to put our backups in with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter is utterly embarrassing for the Chiefs kingdom. Utterly embarrassing. Their last touchdown they scored on the sideline, they were literally giving a Gatorade shower with 3 minutes left to Sirianni. I mean, if that isn't a statement that, you got to reevaluate your team, I don't know what is, especially in the Super Bowl. I felt like I was watching the Broncos when they got dismantled by the Seahawks. It showed, and I think Mahomes looked like a deer in the headlights. I feel like he was having PTSD from what happened with the Bucks. They copy pasted exactly what the Bucks did to him, where they just pressured him enough to where there wasn't much for him to do. He looked scared. And the fact that we didn't have any blitzes or anything, I mean, our D line was absolutely destroying them. I think it was pretty obvious that defense wins championships, and it's won starting in the trenches.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it kind of seems like, well, it doesn't kind of seem like, but if you're able to get pressure on Mahomes without blitzing and just utter domination in the trenches, that's his kryptonite.
Mm-hmm.
Because he wasn't able to escape the pocket, make those runs, extend plays like we thought he was, because the inside of the pocket was just crumbling on him. Every time he tried to step up, there's a guy right there, and just yeah, ready to take his head off. So, he definitely didn't play up to his standards. I don't think Kelsey played well either. Kelsey didn't do anything in this game. Xavier Worthy was the only shimmer of hope, and then the Chiefs couldn't run the ball at all. Kind of showed that their little plug and play running backs that they have in there, might not be the answer long term in the future. With Pacheco, Samaje Perine, and Kareem Hunt, you have some decent backs there that all have differing skill sets, but not one top dog to really go to when you need a few yards in the trenches. So
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that the Chiefs need to reevaluate their offensive line. It's just they did not look like they were even ready to come to play. You could even tell. I believe it was in the second quarter. They were just sluggishly running to the ball. There's one where Mahomes literally got destroyed. He was scrambling, trying to find someone to pass the ball to, and their receivers and Travis were literally standing there, not doing anything, just watching him run for dear life as green jerseys just start running to him. You could clearly tell the Vic Fangio just completely turned around that defense. I feel like throughout the year, or throughout the games throughout the year, you could see the amount of green jerseys flying to the ball. It looked like
it was
a completely
it
different
was
team.
it was Eagles, Philly, talk shit, bully ball is what I
Yeah,
saw. It was
literally
just
putting belt to ass the whole
yeah,
game.
yeah, no doubt. Any thoughts from you, KB, about this game?
No, it was absolute dud. I mean, Offensive line didn't show up for the Chiefs. Wide receivers didn't show up. No separation. I mean, they didn't really have time to get separation. Um, the play at the end of the first half, D Hop dropped like the most wide open ball, looked like he was blind. I mean, if he makes that catch, they score, they get the ball back. You could maybe say, it could be 24-14, but I mean, getting nothing there, not scoring when you get the ball back, that was literally the game. It was over in the third quarter. Um, Outside of that, I mean, said last week I thought Saquon wasn't going to be super successful, and it'd be Jalen Hurts throwing the ball. He threw the ball, he threw it well, threw it efficiently. And when it wasn't open downfield, he had 70 some rushing yards. So I mean, that was really, really the game. And I don't think the Chiefs, like we talked a little bit earlier, I don't think the Chiefs D played horrible. Got a lot of short fields. They're also three picks, pick six. And just when you're on the field that much, like it's so hard to get anything going. Even if you get a stop, it's like, or we're going 3 and out. So, there's outclassed. It was, you know, not a good game, but congrats to the Eagles.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Congrats. I'm curious from you, do you know what players you might have not returning to the team next year? I've heard some talk about Zach Bond. What does it look like for next year? Do you think you guys are favored? What
Um,
players are could you potentially lose to free agency? Which players do you expect to return? Who do you want back?
so I guess some key players would be Josh Sweat, absolute monster this game. Josh Sweat and Milton Williams clearly were playing for a contract. They had good seasons, but you could tell that those guys ran that defense and they were making huge plays. Milton Williams, absolute dog, D tackle. I honestly think we're gonna lose him. I'm just saying it based on the D line room that we have. He's a huge asset to the Eagles, but we have replacements for him. And I don't think we're going to be able to pay the type of money after his performance. I just don't think we're going to be able to pay him what he probably deserves after watching that. Um, I would say, yeah, Josh Sweat. I saw some earlier today where he said money was important, but right now he's happy with where he's at. So I think he's just kind of playing it by ear. Mekhi Becton, our guard, absolute unit, 6'7", 360. I think he'd be good on any team. I hope he comes back. Zach Bond, middle linebacker. It's been a while since the Eagles have had a good middle linebacker. It's probably been honestly since Jeremiah Trotter is the last middle linebacker I can actually recall where he's an actual force. We'll have Nakobe Dean back, so I'm hoping that they sign Zach Bond. I think he plays well. I think Vic really put him in a position to succeed, and I don't know if a lot of other teams could do the same thing for him. He was a bench player on the Saints special teams, didn't get any play time whatsoever. First year with the Eagles, and he's was definitely the best linebacker coming out of the season. I think he got snubbed in the defensive player of the year. I think Corton Sutton, obviously really good, but I don't think that it was even close. He had better stats than Luke Kuechly did when he won his.
You mean Sertan, I think is
Or
who you're thinking.
Sertan, yeah, yep, Sertan. I
Mhm.
I just don't think that he deserved the respect he had because he just didn't have a big name. Yeah, I'm really hoping they sign him. He balled out. Um, and then Isaiah Rogers, I think he had a nice comeback after his betting scandal. I think he earned some respect. He didn't make a ton of huge plays or anything like that, but I think he's a solid cornerback for any team. I think they might let him go. We have a pretty decent cornerback core. So I guess key ones, just to kind of recap, that I would take back would probably be Zach Bond, Mekhi Becton, and uh, probably those two for now because I feel like we're going to lose Josh Sweat and Milton Williams. Just not going to be able to pay him.
Sure. What do you have a favorite play from this game at all?
Oh man. Uh Honestly, I put the nail in the coffin after I watched the pick six from Cooper DeJean. I mean, he is an absolute force. rated the best cornerback after that. So, he's going to be a force. That one, or honestly, watching Milton Williams strip sack Mahomes and then Jalen Carter just cook him. Jalen Carter is literally a baby rhino. Like he's just built different. He just absolutely mushed him in the face. No flag. It is what it is. I'm sure, there's a lot of fans out there that aren't Chiefs fans that enjoyed watching him get absolutely obliterated on that play. That was, that's been karma for all of the bullshit, no ref calls that the Chiefs get. I think, they put him in his place on that play. But yeah, I mean, there's tons of plays that I liked,
Yeah.
but those two probably stood out to me the most, honestly. Watching Cooper DeJean get that pick six on his birthday. He's only 22 years old. That is probably every kid's dream to do something like that.
That's what I was gonna say is probably the biggest winner outside of Jalen Hurts and Sirianni finally getting their Super Bowl rings. Hurts obviously got the MVP, but the Cooper DeJean getting a pick six on their birthday, picking off Patty Mahomes, and just that's when the game was like. Did that blow it to 24-0 or was that 16? I can't remember.
17. It was 17-0. Yep.
Yep. So that's when we were like, oh my gosh, like
Yeah.
this is not
It's gonna
what
get
we
ugly.
expected. Yeah, and it did get ugly. When did you start to really feel comfortable in that game?
Um, I felt good at the 17-0, but it's really hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes, honestly. And how can you ever forget the 28-3 comeback that Brady had against the Falcons? It's really hard to doubt someone that has proven that he's good under pressure. So, it's 24-0 going into the half. Chiefs get the ball. Obviously, like Kevin said, if D Hop catches that, brings it up 7-24. They start with the ball, could move it 14-24, can move the momentum, completely switch the game. But I would say, because what they score, it was like a field goal. I think of course, for some reason, our line wanted to test Jake Elliott's kicking past 50. They kept on continuing to get false starts to get him to that 50 mark to see if he'd actually hit it. But once he hit that, it was 27-0. I mean, the game was pretty much over. Once the biggest game plan was to keep Patrick Mahomes on the sideline, and that's pretty much what they did. They kept him on the sideline the whole time. It's really hard with a team that runs a lot and knows how to control the clock to make mistakes like the type of mistakes that the Chiefs made. They made too many mistakes, too many 3-and-outs. I think they were 1 for 6 on third downs in the first half. Like, you can't be doing that against a team that runs and controls the clock a lot. So I think, after they kicked the field goal and it was 27-0, that was pretty much a wrap. And then it was just toying with them, wasting the clock. But yeah.
Well, for sure, man. Where would you rank this Super Bowl compared to the last one? I mean, I know it's tough. The last one was your first Eagles Super Bowl. Or, you've been to 3 now. Well, no, you've been to 4, but now 2-2 in Super Bowls, 2-3 in your last 3. Obviously had a tough loss in the last one, but where would you rank the Super Bowl victories? I know the first one was probably impossible to beat, just because, with Nick Foles, we didn't see it coming and it was against Brady. So
I think,
assuming that's your one. But.
Yeah. I mean, I love this game, but when it's a blowout, it's not as fun. Obviously, it felt good to not be stressed out, but when it's football and it's a Super Bowl, you want the best teams against the best teams. You want it to be an absolute just dogfight the whole time. Was it nice that I could relax after or middle or through the third quarter? Like, yeah. But watching Nick Foles do what he did against Tom Brady and then troll him on Twitter during the Eagles game this year it's not even close. It's definitely the Nick Foles win was by far the first one. So
for
It was tough
sure.
to see Nick Foles win one and not Donovan McNabb, but I'll take the dub.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Well, we appreciate having you on, man. Thanks for joining us. Is there anything else you want to get off your chest here before we let you go and we wrap up?
Give a
uh,
PSA to give a PSA to all Vikings fans that are just kind of waiting for their first
waiting for
Super
their
Bowl.
chance.
Like kind of talk us through what it feels like and the Monday morning feeling.
I wake up and just absolute smile on my face because I know that we're champions. I mean, you have to get someone like Howie Roseman. Let's let's not forget that he has had a monster performance in terms of drafting, free agency, getting players on discounts that he shouldn't have. Huge, huge pickups. Um, I'd say you need to sometimes you just need to just go all out,
Yeah,
especially with the type of players that the Vikings have too. They do have really good players. They just need to invest in 1 year and really focus on stacking their line. I mean, it was clearly obvious
you
that
gotta get better in the trenches, that's for sure.
yeah. I mean, just literally watch the national championship and try and draft as many of the star players on that team as possible. I know people call the Eagles the Philly Dogs because you just draft Georgia players. It's pretty obvious that they're just absolute units and they continue to ball when they need to. And honestly, in terms of like coordinators, I think it was pretty obvious that you want to bet. I mean, we had Kellen Moore, who's been in the league for a while. You had Vic Fangio, who's been in the league for like 36 years. You just have to invest. You have to invest in your team, and you have to believe in that you guys will succeed if you invest enough time and effort into getting valuable players that you can have and continue to value them on their rookie contract. I mean, we have so many players on their rookie contract still, not even affecting any market cap in terms of spending money, which is amazing. It's going to suck when all of their contracts are up and you're going to have to figure out who do you want to let go and who do you want to pay the big bucks. But I mean, you have them for 4 years on a rookie contract. It's an absolute steal. You just have to invest.
Yeah, can't say I know the feeling. So
It
hopefully someday,
will be.
Minnesota sports in general. Not sure not sure I'm all in on the Vikings being the first team to do it with what seems like a curse, but once you get one, it just seems like it unlocks everything. So, pray for me and all Minnesota sports fans out there that one day we can get over that freaking hump and we don't have to talk about the Twins in 91 anymore. Because if I have to hear that again,
Hey, I
I
mean,
gotta get one in our lifetime here.
you got to break the curse somehow. Eventually, it'll be broken. You just gotta. Uh,
My money's on Anthony Edwards, man. That's the only one. That's the only one I can see potentially doing it just with you gotta have like you gotta continuously get somewhere in the playoffs too and continuously make the playoffs. Which, the Vikings will make the playoffs 1 out of every 2 years and then maybe win a first round game. I was thinking this is the year we'd make the NFC Championship, but that clearly did not happen with the performance of Sam Darnold and the offensive line. So,
yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's one in the trenches that can completely turn around a game
right.
and the snap of a finger. That's all you got to invest in because once you get that, then you can just get young guys and just you have to have vets also that can teach them. I mean, we had Brandon Graham, it abs just been with the Eagles for 15 years teaching them. I mean, before that we had Fletcher Cox. Like you just have to have old vets that have been with the team long enough and can ball
Lane
out. And
Johnson.
Lane Johnson, yeah, for the line, they had Jason Kelsey. It's just you have to have those players and you have to invest in them and have them teach and have the players involved with even drafting, getting their opinion, everything like that. I mean, we got Cam Jurgens based off of Jason Kelsey. He handpicked him. So their opinion matters a lot more than I think a lot of offices give them. So yeah.
Sure. Well, appreciate the TED talk there. Hopefully, hopefully someone in the front office here is listening and they can make some moves for us to get there. We'll try and follow in your guys' footsteps. But yeah, appreciate having you on, man. Congrats on the Super Bowl. Sure the celebration and that euphoric feeling is gonna carry on for a couple weeks here, but hats off to you guys. You guys really were just the best team all season. Really turned around from last year, and you got your revenge on those petty Chiefs, man.
Oh yeah, got our lick back. I appreciate you guys having me, and hopefully I'll be back here when the Eagles go to the Super Bowl again, back to back.
Maybe we'll have you on for some draft analysis too. You can tell us
Oh
which
yeah.
which Georgia players are the best ones in this draft, which SEC
The
dog.
ones that were in the hit and run.
Yeah. Throwing some shade. My God.
Get the ones that are involved in vehicular homicide. Get them.
Oh, proven not guilty. Don't matter.
I don't know about that.
No, just get Abdul Carter and your defense is locked in. That's all that matters.
Where are they
Penn
picking this
State.
year? 10?
The Vikings.
No, Eagles.
No, I think it's like 20.
Do they have a first rounder that
Yeah, I think it's
did they pick
they
up a
might have
first
that.
rounder?
Yeah, I think they still had it from that. I think they're probably 32nd. I don't think they traded up for anything.
Right.
So
Well,
Oh, I thought maybe they had something from that. Yeah, they're 32nd. Vikings are
yeah.
24, Packers 23.
Gonna have to trade up. Get a first round pick.
yeah, we need a guard. We need a running back. We need multiple guards actually, but
It's a good draft class, so there's a lot of good players to pick up.
for sure.
But
I like that hat too, by the way. It's a sick hat.
appreciate it.
And
Appreciate it.
and the shirt. Let's see the shirt real quick.
Yes, sir. Put him on a fucking island.
We love
Guantanamo
it.
Bay.
We love it. Well, all right, man. Appreciate having you on. Best of
Awesome.
luck.
Appreciate it.
Yes,
Have a
sir.
good one.
Peace.
All right. Well, that pretty much does it. You got anything else you want to touch on?
Nope. Great football year. See you guys next week.
See y'all next week. Appreciate y'all watching. Peace.
Peace.